let's talk about the AI bubble, because it's a really weird one. We're in this bizarre moment where losing billions of dollars somehow makes you one of the most valuable companies on the entire planet. And if that sounds completely backwards to you, well, it's because it is.
And it all really starts with this. This is a quote from Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI. He just comes right out and says it. His premium paid product loses money. Think about that. The more people pay for it and use it, the deeper in the red they go. This isn't a mistake. It's the core of the whole mystery.
So, how does Wall Street react to this business model that literally punishes success? They slap a $500 billion valuation on it. So what is going on here? How can a company burning through cash like this be worth so much? To figure that out, we have to go back to the very beginning, to the day the race started.
Right, the ChatGPT gold rush. How the world changed in just 60 days. See, back on November 30th, 2022, OpenAI just dropped ChatGPT onto the internet, and everything just exploded. It kicked off this wild, frantic gold rush that reshaped the entire tech industry, basically overnight.
And when I say it exploded, I mean it. Just look at these numbers. To get to 100 million users, it took Instagram 2.5 years. Facebook, 4.5 years. ChatGPT got there in 60 days. 60. This wasn't just another successful app launch. This was a shockwave that sent a jolt of pure panic through Silicon Valley.
So while the world was playing with ChatGPT, inside Google, there was apparently a total meltdown. See, they had invented the technology that makes it all work, but they were too worried about the risks, the lawsuits, the bad press. But OpenAI, they weren't scared. Their philosophy was just ship first. And that one move proved that being first can be everything. It triggered an absolute tsunami of investment.
Okay, so the hype is off the charts, and money is pouring in. But then people started asking a very awkward question. What does all this magic actually cost? And the answer? Well, it's just mind-boggling.
Take a look at this. This is the bill per month for a small startup just to rent the special computer chips, the GPUs, they need to train an AI model. Over $1 million a month for a small company. That's not a barrier to entry. That's a fortress wall.
And if you thought that was a lot, check out the long-term forecast. To build all the infrastructure needed for AI by 2030 is projected to cost almost $7 trillion. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire economy of Japan. We're talking about spending on the level of a superpower, all for tech that still isn't turning a real profit.
And that brings us to the actual books. This is OpenAI's financial report card. They brought in almost $4 billion, which, hey, that's amazing. But they lost $5 billion. You see the problem? For every dollar they earned, they spent that dollar and then burned another 35 cents on top of it. The math just doesn't work.
So here's the problem in a nutshell. To justify that almost $7 trillion in spending, the whole AI industry needs to be making about $2 trillion a year by 2030. Where are they now? $200 billion. That's a 10x gap. They have to grow 10 times bigger in just a few years. That's not growth, that's a miracle.
Okay, so the money is the disaster, and the business model is basically a hope and a prayer. But hey, the technology itself must be perfect, right? Yeah, about that. It turns out the magic is kind of broken, and the cracks are really starting to show. They have this problem called hallucinations, which is a very polite way of saying the AI just confidently makes stuff up. We've had lawyers cite fake legal cases in actual courtrooms. Then you get the truly bad advice, like when a model told people to put glue on their pizza after it scraped the line from a joke on Reddit. And then you have the lawsuits, a tidal wave of them. The New York Times, famous authors, artists, they're all suing. These aren't just little bugs. They're huge, fundamental problems with how the whole thing works.
All right, let's just recap for a second. The costs are astronomical, there are no real profits, and the tech itself is unreliable and legally questionable. By any normal logic, this bubble should have already burst. So why hasn't it? Well, it's because this isn't about logic. It's about a high-stakes poker game that a few giants are playing.
See, this isn't like the dot-com bubble, which was all about naive optimism.
This one is different. This bubble is being pumped full of air on purpose, not because these companies see a guaranteed payday, but because they are absolutely terrified of what happens if they get left behind.
Just think about who's at the table. You've got Microsoft, terrified of becoming irrelevant again. You've got Google, terrified of losing its search monopoly. You've got Meta, terrified of missing the next big thing like they almost missed mobile. The motivation isn't excitement. It's pure fear. Nobody wants to be the next BlackBerry, right? So they can't fold. They just have to keep betting bigger and bigger.
So if all the players are locked in this game of chicken, refusing to back down, how does it ever end? What's the one thing that could finally make this whole thing pop? Historically, it takes something big from the real world to force everyone's hand.
And usually it's one of two things. One, the free money faucet gets turned off. Interest rates go up, cash gets expensive, and suddenly no one can afford to play anymore. Or two, a massive public failure. Think about something like FTX in the crypto world. An event so bad, it just shatters everyone's confidence all at once.
But here's the thing, we're not there yet. The big tech companies are still spending like crazy, and we haven't had that one big meltdown moment that breaks the spell. So the bubble is still here, but you can feel the pressure building, right? We're not watching the explosion. We're in that quiet moment, the inhale before the scream. So that's where we are. The numbers don't make sense, the logic is shaky, but the fear driving it all is very, very real. It's a standoff between financial reality on one side and pure corporate terror on the other. And it just leaves us all with one big, uncomfortable question.